This is Jesse with the Improbable Podcast. Freddie Freeman's future. Is he going to sign with the Dodgers? Our boys in blue. Freddie Freeman coming at you.
Freddie, you guys winning the World Series.
Oh my gosh, that's the greatest words you could possibly say. I'm absolutely numb inside right now. This is everything you work for, everything you dream for. And year after year, it didn't happen, and finally it happened. Man, Buster, this is awesome.
Describe that last out from your perspective, knowing that you caught the ball. What'd you do with it?
Yeah, well, the ball's in my back pocket still right now, but
can you pull it out?
I can pull it out. It's right here. I got it. It's already authenticated and everything. So right when I saw that ball hit, you could see the depth, and you knew that was going right to Dansby. So, and then he threw it to me, and what a cool moment when I was seeing that ball and I knew I was going to catch it. So, absolutely incredible.
What a crazy year for you. Yeah. Sons born December 30th, Valentine's Day, everything that happened. Put it into words.
I don't know if there is words for that. What a crazy year. I showed up late to spring training because, I only got to see my son for 12 days before I had to leave, and didn't see him for 40 days. And started off rough, and then it just ends the perfect way. It really does. So, oh my gosh, we're world champions, Buster.
How much did Solaire's home run mean in that moment?
The best thing ever. Just get us on the board, that was huge. You put it together in another amazing at-bat. He's been doing all postseason, so that was huge for us.
Freddie, thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, it's big trading tough players away and making big trades, and you get attached.
If you don't want to get benched this season, don't strike out. Hit that like button, swing at the subscribe button, and hit a home run on that notification bell.
To you. We started this show by, I don't know if speculating is the right word, I think asserting the fact that, for me at least, it's LA or bust for Freddie Freeman now. What is your take on his whereabouts, and give us your reaction to yesterday's blockbuster deal?
Well, I became less and less surprised that this would happen. The more things went on where he wasn't signed before the lockout, the more and more he's out in the wild. You get hard feelings that, hey, the team I've been the face of, I helped bring a championship to last year, didn't give me the money I want, which I think is a 6th year at a certain amount of money. Then if they don't do that, I'll leave. And I think Atlanta began to feel like, hey, he's not going to take ours. Oakland is getting good offers from multiple teams for Olson. The Yankees were interested, Tampa Bay, a few other teams, and Oakland didn't want to hold up its offseason waiting for Freeman to decide. And so somebody had to blink, and Atlanta blinked yesterday. The Braves have a long history of liking players from their area. He's a guy from suburban Atlanta. In fact, he went to the same high school as Jeff Francoeur. Jeff Francoeur's mother was his math teacher in high school. Jason Hayward, Brian McCann, Tyler Flowers, a lot of guys from the area end up being Braves. So Olson's there. And now the question is, where does Freeman go? I think that if you were a betting man, you'd say the Dodgers. But one thing I keep in mind is we keep talking about that top tax, the $290 million, the new one, the 4th level, as the Steve Cohen tax. And I think that's generally right. But the Dodgers have been up there before. They're at about $250 million now. And I think it's hard for them to make projections of where they go until the Trevor Bauer situation becomes clarified. Is he playing with the team this year? At least is his salary fully on the books this year? Is he suspended? For how long? How much money does that save? So I think it complicates what they can offer. They might still want Kenley Jansen back. They need to keep probably addressing starting pitching in some way. So I think they're the favorites, but I think the Yankees are in it. The question is Hal Steinbrenner willing to have 4 guys essentially age out into their late 30s on big contracts? It's Cole, it's Stanton. I think they want to do Judge, who's a free agent after the coming season. And if they did Freeman, it would be 4 guys into their late 30s. I'm not sure he wants to do that. Toronto wants a left-handed bat. Obviously, they're tied to Kyle Schwarber. That's at a lot less price range than Freeman, but there's a lot of people out there who think they'd like to do Freeman and see if they could build kind of a super lineup. And the stalking, the team that's just kind of sitting there to see if it collapses on everyone is the Tampa Bay Rays. And generally people say, come on, the Tampa Bay Rays, but Tampa Bay always is in for big guys. They rarely get it or never get it, but they go in because the way they view the world is we don't want to just go after average. If we're going to spend, it's got to be a big difference maker. And obviously Freddie Freeman's a big difference maker. And as my friend John Heyman always says, there's always mystery teams. And so, you know, is Boston in on him? Is Seattle? Is Texas? I would keep it, you know, it's Freddie Freeman. It's a great player who, even though he's in his 30s and we think, you know, that they die in their 30s, is as good a hitter as just about there is in baseball. So I assume the team that is willing to go to 6 years and give him a number gets Freddie Freeman now.
What about where you stand today? Would the Mets be in this?
No, I don't believe so. You know, I guess I'll learn never to say never now that Steve Cohen does own the team. But Billy Epler was definitive the other day that they're not in the big money positional group anymore. I think if they do anything, it will be like a smaller thing for a fourth outfielder type. They certainly are still looking for a left-handed reliever here. You know, is that Andrew Chafin? Is it a trade? Is it Andrew Miller, who Billy Epler has long been a fan of and is still a free agent as well? But I don't think it will be the Mets, Harold.
Well, one of the reasons it won't be the Mets is that they've got Pete Alonso anchoring that spot, and his name was in the news for all the wrong reasons. And Pete Alonso certainly grateful, as the Post illustrates. You got the Post cover to show. Let's show Joel his own paper. That'd be unusual.
Where's that?
Anyway, Pete Alonso was in a car accident.
There you go.
Yeah, here we go. Here's your own paper, Joel. And the photo is harrowing of the car crash that Pete was involved in.
Square it up, Matt. Square it up.
Square it. Single me up. There it is. Have you had a chance to talk to Pete? I know that he's kind of, he's still in a, you know, kind of a reclusive state, understandably so, after living through this.
So yesterday was the first day that major league clubhouses were open to reporters since March of 2020. Oh my God. I was in there and I wanted to, like, Pete Alonso was about to do a group interview, but I had someone else I wanted to talk to. And one of the media relations guys from the Mets grabs my arm and says, "You want to be part of this?" And so I went over and I listened. And look, I've done this for 35 plus years. I've generally pride myself on not being surprised. But when somebody describes that they were in kind of a life and death harrowing accident, it even catches me by surprise. And look, let's knock on wood. I've seen the pictures. I believe it flipped 3 times. It ended up on his side. Can you imagine his wife was driving the car behind him and saw this happen? And, you know, Pete Alonso apparently was able to, like, kick the window out and get out of the vehicle.
I was wondering how she was able to film that.
I saw him yesterday. Yeah, and I, you know, I saw him yesterday. It's amazing. Like he was obviously shaken. He was emotional, talking about obviously the fragility of life. But fortunately, he didn't have any noticeable scrapes, cuts, broken bones, etc. So it's amazing when you look at the photo that he walked out of there and he's in a clubhouse in a uniform the next day.
One of those moments that makes you all kind of lose your breath there. And certainly we're glad that Pete and everybody's okay. Let's get to something a little more pleasant, but only a little more pleasant if you're a Mets fan, and that is the potential that Jacob deGrom will pitch this year, yes. But this might be his last year in a Mets uniform, unless there's a new deal offered by Steve Cohen, because he has said he will opt out of his current contract after the season.
Yeah, this is a little bit from you report it, but it's the duh portion of the program. He has control of his opt-out, and as counterintuitive as this sounds, the Mets need him to opt out. Why? He will only opt out if he's healthy and had a good year. If he doesn't opt out, he's got $30.5 million due him in 2023, and if he picks up that option, the player portion of it, it would mean that something went terribly wrong this year. He sees even an older starter like his now teammate Max Scherzer got 3 years at $130 million. That's $43.3 a year. That's way more average per year than anyone's ever gotten in the history of the game. deGrom is a little younger, less mileage on his arm, but he's had some arm problems. He can certainly stand in that forum. So the Mets actually need him to opt out of his contract.
Interesting perspective. I never really looked at it that way, but I get it after your explanation. Joel Sherman joining us from Mets camp on a variety of topics on a Tuesday that promises even more news. Joel, thank you.
Hit that like button, swing at the subscribe button, and hit a home run on that notification bell. Thank you for watching the Improbable Podcast. Have an improbably awesome rest of your day.